Yes, the program is still New Dawn, and we are in the discussion segment. One product that is common to everybody in Nigeria and is being consumed by almost everyone, if not everyone, is premium motor spirits, popularly known as petrol. And some weeks ago, precisely November 13th, the president came out to say there will be an imposition of 15% import duty on the importation of petrol and diesel into the country. But a few days later, the decision was suspended. So that is our thought this morning. We are looking at the pros and the cons, advantages, disadvantages, merits, demerit, cause and effect of this 15% import duty. It has not been cancelled, it has only been postponed till the first quarter of 2026. These are what we are going to be looking at, and we have some cerebral gentlemen in the studio and via Zoom. In the studio with us this morning is Mr. Tade Adebanjo, Chartered Accountant and Economics. We'll be looking at it from the economic point of view. You're welcome to New Dawn.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and also joining us via Zoom is a major oil marketer, Benga Adedunwi. Mr. Benga, good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so I would like Simia to throw the first punch.
Okay, maybe we should start with the accountant now, because for instance, the president, the moment that decision was made, Nigerians were talking about the that was of course the removal now, not the suspension. Nigerians were talking about how that would impact the economy. I don't know why it was later suspended. Maybe you know why the president decided to suspend it. The pressure, people kept talking about different things. For a layman, what does that mean to have a 16% yes, excise on imported fuels?
Thank you very much. To start with, when we talk about tariff is a form of tax or duty that is placed on imported goods or exported goods even sometimes. And most of the time, the main reason why government usually come up with a particular form of tariff or not, or the other, particularly in this case, 15% tariff on PMS and diesel, is to actually encourage local industries and to discourage importation. And so, and that's the first major reason why government came up with this idea. And of course, just like we will always talk about any tax, we are talking about tax reform of 2025 that will even take effect from January 2026 now. You see that many dimensions to it. People have different views about it. The same thing happened to this one. People have started, once people started talking and started crying, is that tariff again, tax again, do we want to kill Nigerians? That kind of a thing. But many never knew the reason why government did that one. And just like I said, is to discourage importation. But by and large, when we look at it again, do we actually have enough of that product in Nigeria? Because majorly they are trying to protect Dangote refinery and probably modular refineries that we have in Nigeria. But can these two people, Dangote and modular, are they producing enough to actually meet the demand of Nigerians? That's the one question that we need to ask. But again, when government decides to suspend this thing, it's because of this noise too. And Nigerians say that, okay, if we impose any tariff on PMS, on diesel, what we have been buying, like naira something naira now, of course it's going to go up to about 1,000 and something plus. And you know, Nigeria.
So what about the Dangote producing within? That means their prices would also jerk up sort of, or it will be, will it be competitive at that time?
Well, it's a relative term, because presently, even when they are doing importation, I still don't see that competitive of a thing. I still don't see whether one is affecting the other or the other. Because today, if you drive to some filling station, you can buy fuel for 900. You can see the next one selling for 910, the next one selling for 920. You know, that kind of thing. So we have not been able to actually see the balance. But ordinarily, that should have been the main focus or the main reason that, okay, the one we produce locally should be more cheaper than the one imported. But they are claiming, the marketers are saying that, look, that of Dangote is even more expensive than the one they are importing. So we have not been able to actually strike a balance in that area.
I think that's why we have a major, one of the persons in the industry, Mr. Benga Didiwin. Thank you so much for joining us. Maybe you try to explain from that point of view of a marketer, oil marketer, what this 15% suspension is about, and of course what the initial implication of that, and of course the suspension now.
Okay, thank you, good morning, viewers. As the guest in the studio has already said, when the tariff is imposed, it is aimed at discouraging imports so that local production can improve. However, in the petroleum industry downstream, I'm not sure we're matured enough or we've gotten to the point where government needs to impose a tariff on imported products. And there are so many reasons for that. The first reason for that is that, as the guest has said, we barely have sufficient products in the system that can go around without causing scarcity. Now, over the past 6 months, there's been one or two undisclosed, and I'm saying undisclosed, challenges with some units of the Dangote refinery that will ensure that even when marketers are ready to pay for product, the refinery has not been able to meet up with the demand of marketers. This is where import comes in to augment what the country consumes. Now, I know that there is an issue between Dangote and the importers, the marketers that have been there before Dangote refinery came into operation. And everybody is just trying to safeguard their position. Dangote has spent over $20 billion to put on the world state-of-the-art refinery. And then there are marketers that have always been there before the refinery came. And it seems as if they are almost being pushed out. I think what the government needs to do is to find a balance between both of them. I must categorically tell you that as at last week, products being sold by marketers was slightly cheaper than what was being sold at the Dangote refinery. Now, that is the beauty of competition. If I'm able to source my product better, I should not be discouraged. More so, when you look at Dangote refinery as we stand alone, which is the major refinery we have, that's taking care of what Nigeria needs as well as exports to other countries. I know that there's the Bua refinery, I think in Calabar, that is also coming up, but that has not materialized yet. So government needs to find a balance to avoid what we used to have in the past of scarcity. It was a good decision by government to impose the 15% tariff, but I think it was at the wrong point in time. And that's why you will see that immediately, less than a week, government had to retract that decision to ensure that there is stability in the industry. What I think is that there needs to be, when policies like this come up, there's
okay.
I think we have a network issue with that. But let me come to the chartered accountant in the house. One of the fears of Nigerians when the 15% import duty was imposed on petroleum and diesel was that it could lead to inflation. But from a professional point of view, do you think that would happen when you have
there should be a lot of stakeholder engagement?
Okay, do you think that will happen when you have a production in-house that is said to be able to cater for the demand?
I really don't think that will happen. But just like I said earlier, the fear is that can that local production actually meet Nigerians' demand? So because that is just the issue. Already the economy is in trouble. The foreign exchange is high, and if we allow importation the more we have pressure on our foreign exchange. But if that one can be discouraged and the local refinery can meet Nigerians' demand, I think that would have been the best. That's what would have been the best. What I personally would have expected the government is to actually sit with the refinery, somebody like Dangote refinery, and ask, can you meet Nigerians' demand? Because you can remember that the man at the other hand was talking about the fact that even with his production now, he's still exporting. So why they need to export when you cannot meet the local demand? So once that one is not, we are not able to actually resolve that one, there's nothing we can do. Even though, just like you said, it will just still make the inflation to go up. That's the truth of the matter. Because the more you import, the more we have pressure on our foreign exchange, and the more the inflation rises.
All right, Mr. Gbenga, are you with us now? We had a little challenge with your network earlier.
Yes.
While you were.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you now. But as you continue your thoughts, I would like you to look at this. The marketers are claiming that Dangote cannot sufficiently supply our petrol and diesel demand, that cannot meet our demands. Now, how do you substantiate that when the whole country does not even know how many liters of petrol it consumes in a day? How can we say that Dangote cannot meet it when you don't even know the amount we consume?
So I want to differ a bit. I think the NNDPRA, after the regulation, I don't know, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. NNDPRA, after the regulation, have become somewhat data-driven. So for now, we're able to get quite adequately what the country consumes, and it's between 30 and 50 million liters on a daily basis. I will put it at about 40 million liters on a daily basis, which the Dangote refinery is capable of producing, whether it exports or it's only for domestic consumption. However, the challenge with that is that the refinery has not been fully optimized. Now, there's a plan to take it to about 1.4 million barrels next year. I think that it is at that point that government should start talking about imposing a tariff on imported products. I can categorically tell you, because I operate in the industry, and I expect and respect Dangote's position to say we can meet this supply, even when it can't realistically. As a marketer, when I want to buy products for my stations and my outlets, I'll go for where the product is most cheapest. And I can tell you, as I said before the line went off, over the last 2 weeks, we will be sourcing products in depots in Apapa slightly cheaper than what we have been buying from Dangote. And the truth of the matter is that, as I said, and as the speaker, the guest in the speaker's studio said, that government needs to come up with a stakeholder engagement. Dangote is not the only operator that operates in the industry. There are people before them that invested a lot in storages in Apapa. Do you want to push them out? What happens to implementing these people run out of business? Everybody needs to be carried along. Eventually, when we are able to meet local sufficiency, the government can now come, because there are no pluses to tariffs. Your FX, the strength of Naira improves if you reduce the imports, because you're looking for FX to go and bring in product as well. But I think it should be done at the right time. There must be engagement, stakeholder engagement, so that we don't run into what we used to have of scarcity in those days. I think that's my take on that.
So when you said there must be engagement, because before now, Nigerians are practically saying that, the old forces are the ones not allowing Dangote refinery to actually function perfectly to the benefit of Nigerians. And of course, they refer to the oil marketers, the ones that, I don't know if it's the group you actually belong to, different groups now. And you said the government should actually discuss with the critical stakeholders, all the stakeholders? What should the president be discussing with the stakeholders now, beyond Dangote Refinery, looking at the history of oil business or the oil sector in Nigeria, the subsidy regime, different government call it scam, and of course different allegations of corruption and the likes. How really should the government be engaging the critical stakeholders in this regard?
So, two things. I don't think the interest of government is to kill a sector or an arm of business to grow another one. Government should ensure that every aspect of that sector survives within a framework. Now, my question to the FIRS is, when they were drafting the 15% policy for the president to assent, who can they tell us those that they engaged with during that process? Is it just because we need to put in a tariff? Maybe because Dangote is saying, no, business is being killed. I don't think, I'm in the industry, but I'm not sure there was any engagement. FIRS just sat down and felt that, what do we need to do to reduce importation without actually talking to those that are playing in that industry? I think it's a wrong approach in the first instance, like putting the cart before the horse. We should not have, it's embarrassing when government needs to, when the president assents to something, and in 2 weeks, they are retracting it again. Does that mean there was no preparation? There was no planning? It's best to, we need to ask questions. Who is advising the president? Everyone wants this industry to thrive, but while thriving, things must be done right. I don't think the major marketers or the petroleum importers are saying that Dangote is killing our business. I think there must be a balance for now. When we get to the point when we have Dangote is 1.4 million barrels per day, Boaz 450,000 barrels per day, and in two smaller modular refineries, then there's going to be justification to take that decision. Even at that, there must still be engagement with people that are there. Don't forget that billions of naira, trillions of naira have been used to construct depots in Apapa. These depots employ hundreds of thousands of people. If you don't find the meeting ground, are you going to throw them back into the unemployment market? Does that do any good to the economy? So that's the way thing. It's not something that the government will just jump in at once and see this is what we're doing, and then the next thing they jump out again. That's my take.
Mr. Benga, I'm still going to be staying with you because I want to use this example,
Yes.
Though it's not a perfect example, but let me use the example of the textile industry. Yes, we had a flourishing textile industry in Nigeria, and it wasn't meeting our local need at the time also, but we opened the gates for importation of textile. Now the textile industries in Nigeria are being killed. Same goes for the petroleum industry, refinery. The landing cost is definitely going to be cheaper than what Dangote is producing. What do you still think that, I'm sure that's the reason why FIRS is saying there should be an imposition of a tariff. But what I'm driving at is this. What do you think that this is not the importers fighting back to make sure that they still remain in business? Because it's logical to say that they don't want to lose their business, and millions of dollars is being used to import fuel into Nigeria at the risk of the naira.
Okay, thank you. Actually, personally, I don't think the Dangote refinery is in any risk at all. It's a properly thought out plan that even if Nigeria does not buy from Dangote refinery, it can export its entire product and still make money. So nothing is risk-free, but from my analysis, I don't think there is an immediate risk already. If I go back to the textile example you made, to me I think that instead of government opening up import of textile at that time, what they should have done was to encourage local producers while balancing it at that point. Now, government just threw caution to the wind and say, you can go and bring it. How do you compete against China with the cheapest labor, with their technology, and your local producer of textile? what the government should have sat down to say is, how do we ensure that those that are producing locally we don't have to rely on import to meet our local textile needs. To me, I think that for a very long time, 20, 30 years, the government has tried to take the easiest part out of each of the problems that we have faced as a country. I don't think that we are taking a critical thought process to ensure that you're not going to have short-term fixes when you have had decades of malaise over a period of time. And people, I'm sure, once they see development and things like that, are really able to wait a little bit for things to kick in, not for us to take the short-term approach to solving issues. That takes me back to the petroleum industry as well. Now, the population that Nigeria has is sufficient enough for even 3 of Dangote refinery if we have it in Nigeria. Because don't forget that our neighbors have been living on Nigeria subsidized product for a while. Now that there is no subsidized product, you have to buy product from somewhere at commercial rates. Understand? Many of them don't have capacity to build this kind of infrastructure in their district. So even if we have 3, what happens is that it brings in more effects into the country, grows the economy, and everybody is better than trying to say push out the petroleum marketers. I don't think that the ideal way to go is to have 0 imports, but it's to have a controlled import system that does not tamper with the production locally.
Right. We are working on another one of our guests joining us via Zoom. That's Alhaji Fatai Olatunji, the Secretary of the Oil and Gas Association. When that is tidied up, we'll connect. But let me come back to the studio, Mr. Tade Adebanjo. This is economics, demand and supply. The FIRS that proposed the 15% import duty are looking at the economics point of view. They want to protect production, local content, and protect the naira. But now it's suspended. What do you think about strengthening the naira and also helping the marketers to protect their own investment? How can this be done economic-wise?
Okay, thank you. To start with, if you want to strengthen the naira, the first major thing is to actually encourage local production. And we know the problem we have in Nigeria, hitherto, is that we live more on importations. There are not industries. We don't, so, and what the government needs to first of all do is to discourage importation. But how do we discourage importation when we don't have local industries? Who will do all those things? If I got to a point that they were saying that even common matches, toothpicks, that we import it into Nigeria. So I think one of the things that government needs to do is to actually encourage local production, enable environment, encourage industries to start producing. I think that should be the first focus. But if there is no downward, if we are not doing downward, then there is no way importation will not be in, and there is no way there will not be pressure on the naira, and our foreign exchange issues will continually to be there. So I feel that when FIRS was coming with all these things, I just like Mr. Benga said, I think they will have done their own work very well. Very, very well. Okay, do you know that up to now, it just occurred to me that in 1993, the late MK Abela was asking that, look, we are telling you that you want to remove subsidy, but tell us what is the marginal cost of production per liter. Up to now, nobody has been able to answer that question. Up to today. So even when they are talking, even Dangote is talking, let them tell us what is the marginal cost of production per liter. Because I remember Abiola was saying that if a market woman goes to the market to buy her goods, when she buy her goods, she will know how much she bought those goods. Then she will come back home, she will add her profit margin before she can determine her selling price. But today, they will just tell us, this and this how much you want to sell it. So I feel that the government actually, just like I said, need to call the stakeholders. If we want to help Nigerians, because the pressure is on Nigerians. That's the truth. And you see, one of the things that power the economy is this PMS. Is this PMS diesel. I was somewhere some years back that I visited that company in Aboru in Lagos, and that date was an unfortunate day for me. I was very, very sad, because as I was entering that place, the man was sacking all his workers, and I said, but why? He said, because he can no longer, have the ability to buy diesel. As at that time, he said he spent, as at that time in 2006, he said he spent 3 million on diesel on daily basis. How much is he making to enable him able to pay? So that it's pays him to even close down the industry, the company, than for him to be running at a loss. And so if all those things are not looked at critically and see what we can do to encourage local production, we will still keep on having this issue of importation. And I feel one of the things that government needs to do, is to actually encourage industrialists. There are many big people, rich people in Nigeria who can, if government can encourage for them to invest into refineries. There are many of them.
Okay, I think Alhaji is
we'd like to introduce our third guest, Alhaji Fatai Olatunji, Secretary of Oil and Gas Association. Alhaji, good morning, sir.
Excuse me.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and you are welcome to the discussion. What is your thoughts about this 15% import duty on PMS and diesel? Are you in support, or you have your doubts?
Well, thank you. Let me greet the presenters and co-discussants there. I'm sorry I came late. I traveled from a particular place to now here now. As that discussion on a 15% is of food importations. Well, I will not say it is the federal government that can theoretically tell us why they are decided to, put it on suspension for now. But what I'm quite sure about it is that I think the introduction of that tariff was to encourage the indigenous refinery that we have here, like Dangote refinery, so that this importation of fuel products from outside Nigeria will be discouraged, at least to protect that particular industry. But unfortunately, there have been a lot of logistics problem, even to go out to onboard on the supply from Dangote directly. It's a problem. We quite understand that there are a lot of middlemen. Like right now, we were told Dangote's ex-table price of PMS is 828, but it is far, more than that. Even at Lagos depot, we still get the product very cheaper than that of, now what you can get from Dangote refinery. So the increase in all these things, are still very, not known to many of us that are marketers.
Okay, which is better for you, Alhaji? We have the position of some marketers saying that they just have to import because they talked about quality, they talked about the price variation with that of Dangote refinery. And yes, we have the president coming up with a policy decision saying that we have to encourage local production, and which was why the 15% import duty was actually put. So which is better for oil marketers? Is it when we refine within the country or when we import? Which is better for you as a marketer?
Well, as of now, it is the Dangote refinery that is operational. In a serene market situation, competitive market interest must come to play. If we have so much competition, definitely the pricing will be much more favorable even to the end users. As it is now, it is this Dangote alone doing this thing. We have had we are coming up and some other refineries that are coming
what is the plan? What is the plan of marketers as well? Because I recall that before Dangote actually, opened his own refinery, there were discussions about oil marketers also coming together to, have their own refineries within Nigeria so that they will be able to compete and, of course, to do business better. So what exactly is happening in that regard? Are marketers also coming together to try to own their own refinery so that they can, solve most of the problems that we're confronted with?
Well, thank you. It's not something very easy for marketers to come together to own their own refinery because of the magnitude of the fund that is involved in doing this thing. We have our major marketers that own these private depots in Lagos that we buy from. Right? That is why we said the prices there are even more, better, cheaper than that of Dangote refinery. Independent marketers coming together to own a refinery for now, I doubt it much. But the competitiveness must, come to play in the industry. And since the government has said it has handed off these regulations on this and so on, on these petroleum products, it is the NFDPRB, that controls the our sector of the business. So I think if they can really stand up to ensure that quality products are imported and some other things like that, and the pricing and so on and so forth, then we'll be at least be managing this situation until when the marketers can come together to own a refinery in Nigeria. Yeah.
Mr. Adedewe, I'm coming to you now.
Sorry.
You heard what Alhaji said, that the product from the marketers, from the imported products, is cheaper than what they buy from Dangote. So, which means that if there's a no-brainer, you as someone that wants to make profit in business, you'll have to go to Apapa to go and get your product. Now, this is what is obvious that is going to affect the sale from Dangote products, from Dangote refineries, obviously. Now, what do we do? Will this encourage somebody that wants to invest in refinery to invest, knowing full well that if I invest in establishing another refinery in Nigeria, the government will open the window for importation. Is this importation not going to affect further investment in refinery in Nigeria?
Okay, so thank you for that. First, let me just take a little bit from what Alaji has said. Now, about marketers coming to build a refinery. Don't forget that the sector had just been regulated about 2 years ago when the present administration came in. And a refinery of that scale is not something that can just be. Dangote has been on building his refinery, I think, since 2014. The first time he wanted to go to refinery was when he brought over the Nigerian government refinery, and then because of politics, it was taken back from him. So it's a proper planning of about 15 to 20 years. Before now, there was no incentive to do that because the sector was regulated, so and you can't sell at market prices. Now, having said that, and as the guest in-house has said, nobody is saying that government should not put in regulation to imports, but it should be done at the appropriate time. I think if a couple of more people come in to refine, to build refineries, at that point there's a justification to stop importation as a whole. And then the marketers that are there now will not continue to shout that they're being pushed out of business because nobody has...
What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is this. Now, between now and then, you just heard Alaji say they go to Apapa to buy. Now, between now and then, who would want to invest? Between now and the time you are speculating that the importation should be probably stopped, who will want to invest between now and then, when obviously marketers don't go to the existing one to buy?
Okay, so it's not like marketers don't go there to buy to Dangote refinery. However, I think one of the challenges that Dangote refinery has is the upgrade it's trying to do to 1.4 million barrels per day. So it's going to affect currently is production capacity. So if it affects its production capacity, somebody needs to fill that in. He's a patient businessman and he knows that it's just a matter of time. Once he ramps up production to that level, I don't think any imported product will be able to compete with him at that point. You understand? So he's patient. He knows that he's losing customers to the importers, but it's just in a period of maybe 1 year or 18 months when he's gotten to the level he wants to get to. So I don't think anybody that wants to invest in refinery should be discouraged. Before the upgrade started and a little bit of the issues that the refinery was having, Dangote refinery used to be the benchmark in the industry. It was always the cheapest at that point. As I just said, the gantry price from Dangote is 828. However, you buy at almost 860 because there are middlemen there that he has appointed, about 20 marketers. They also have to make their money, but I think that the difference might be a little bit too much, and that's why the prices are high. I think what we need to do is just be a bit patient. Investing in refinery is still a good investment if you have the capacity to do that. But because of the peculiarity that is doing Dangote refinery that is there, and is doing some maintenance on the refinery, is upgrading his refinery, things like this are about to abound. But then when we get to that point, it's going to be resolved. I don't think personally that when we get to that point and when BOA starts producing again, that imported petrol, only if it's going to be only if they are bringing in the least quality into the country. But with NMDPRA, NPA, the master doing all those shares, I'm not sure that will be allowed into the country. At that point, I don't see how imported product is going to be cheaper than product produced locally. And I think it's at that point that government can now put in a tariff on imported products when we have sufficiency in the industry.
All right.
Back to the studio to handle the economic angle of all of this. The marketers are talking, sharing their experiences, and of course their understanding of the issue and what ought to be. As somebody that is interested in, of course, growing the economy of the nation, how are you going to intercept all these narratives there?
I feel from both ends. The economy can be grown. The truth of the matter is that even if we have all our production locally, domestic, I think it's much better. That's the truth of the matter, because no matter what, if we want to import today, they will source for foreign exchange. And the more they source for foreign exchange, the more they put pressure on Naira. And that's why we are having this, you know, if you look at the exchange rates, it will drop today, tomorrow it will go up. Why? Because people keep sourcing for foreign exchange to do these importations. But if we can have all our productions done locally, and just like Mr. Adewale said, if people will invest, if entrepreneurs, if they will invest into refineries, it will bring this issue. Because I remember initially, one of the problems they were talking about is the monopoly of Dangote. And you see, what quickly came to my mind is that when MTN came to Nigeria, in the telecommunication industry, we saw the problem we were having. But the moment particularly Glo came and said, okay, look, now we will be charging you per second, we saw that the prices of MTN, their charges that time, began to drop because they have competitor now. So the more we begin to have competitor, even in this industry, the more we begin to see the advantage, and the more it will grow the economy. But if you are still talking about, I think I've learned that maybe they say Boa is coming
it's also coming.
In fact, of recent, I sat and I was trying to do some analysis that, okay, what about even state governments? What about region coming together? For, you know, before now, in the area of those type of Western region, we saw an industry like Odua Investments. They came into the economy, and they were able to help the economy. So what of this region? Instead of building airports, all of them are building airports now, and I keep looking at some of these airports. Are they actually functional? Are they actually growing the economy? But they can come together and build each region, maybe each of the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, build each of refinery. You will discover that some of these things will not.
So when you talk about that, it's a good initiative, but of course you also know that they say government don't have business in business. We have refineries before. The ones that we have, the Port Harcourt refineries, that's the government-owned refineries now, and we know the state of these refineries. So apart from that, let's also look at whether there is the political will for the government to actually get Nigeria out of, this particular situation of no fuel and of course the costs being high. Do you see the president in charge now having that will to push through all the challenges that we have?
Thank you. I don't see it, sincerely speaking, because you see the issues that we have been having, particularly in oil and gas industry, is this political will. And Mr. Adewale, these people, they are not actually telling us. The issue with the oil and gas industry, they are not. You see the stealing that is still going on with our crude. It's still there on a daily basis. They are not actually telling us the truth of the matter. And
we've been told that a lot of cabals are built around the oil sector. So to dismantle that, for instance, some of our guests on via Zoom are already saying that they should have, bring all the stakeholders together.
Engagement.
And of course, I was asking what exactly would be the discussion when you know that you're most likely going to be pushed out of the business if they allow certain things to happen. But of course, like you said,
the truth of the matter is
that in secrecy, all kinds of things, and we continue to have the president as the minister of petroleum, and of course later we have.
Except certain things are done, we will still be on the same spot. The truth of the matter, you see, when they talk about cabals, then why do you have a government? Why do people still want to go to government if you are not going there to actually correct those things that are wrong?
Okay, maybe our guest was also.
Alaji, I would like to comment on this. Mr. Linga, you are commenting last because our time is running, but I would like Alaji to comment on this.
Okay.
You are going to have your time to talk, Mr. Linga.
Okay,
Alaji, how do we help our local refineries to bring down their cost of production so that the amount of money, because that's where it's going to, the amount of money that Nigerians pay per liter of petrol is it infrastructure that we need to provide Is it regulation? What can we do to make the cost of production, for cost of petroleum products to come down in Nigeria? Very briefly, Alaji.
Thank you. We must thank our president for allowing the supply of crude oil in Naira to Dangote. Why the price of the of the product, particularly the PMS, is still high? I think you have to trace it to Dangote industry. Yes, because he has been, given the opportunity to buy in Naira. Having said that, I still think it is this how do I put it? I mean, this monopoly aspect of it from Dangote, because from crude oil, I think not less than 23 or so products will be refined from that crude oil. We have other byproducts like ADO, that is diesel, aviation fuel, PKO, and so on, bitumen, and so on and so forth. If actually the refinery that is operational, unfortunately, all our refineries are moribund. Even they are obsolete. Look at the years, they were built. The president even tries as much as possible to bring up that of record. It's the same thing. That is why I said, with good competition with this Dangote refinery, we shall get very good results.
All right, thank you so much, Alaji. Mr. Renga, now I'm coming to you now, Mr. Renga. We are talking about competition. Competition, I believe, should be from within, not from without. That is my belief, but you have your thoughts earlier on, and while doing that, I want to speak to what is your candid opinion should be done to the refineries owned by the government?
Okay, so thank you for that. First, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you. Keep going.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So you spoke about Dangote and pricing. Don't forget that crude internationally, petroleum products, is priced against international pricing. So that's when you say crude in Naira, does not mean that he's getting crude lower than international price. It's just that they've converted that FX aspect of it for him. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, please.
You have 30 seconds to go.
We can hear you, sir. So go ahead.
They've converted that. Okay. They've converted that FX aspect of it for him, so that he doesn't need to go and source for FX. He can pay Naira, but at an agreed interest rate. So since it's priced in Naira, that's why you see that every little movement internationally affects the local price as well. Now, just to round up my thoughts, import is not necessarily a bad thing. About a month ago, we celebrated Dangote refinery taking premium metals, which is petrol, to the US. US has, I think, the highest refining capacity in the world, and yet they're still importing from Nigeria into their economy. Same with jet fuel and things like that. So it's the balance that is important, not just the fact that you want to scrap imports. In the US, as mighty as they are, can import from Dangote refinery, then it's not a bad idea, but it's just that you have to balance and managed properly. That's my take.
So my question earlier on, what do you think we should do to the Port Harcourt, Warri refinery?
Okay. So I think that there are discussions already with NNPC of getting technical partners and taking out the hands of NNPC totally from operating those refineries. Once technical partners come and they have financial input in it as well, it's in their interest for those refineries to start working. Now, a technical committee audit has to be done on those refineries. Are they even viable for us to continue? When you have private investors coming, they will do those things because they are pitching money. And if it's viable, they will go ahead. If it's not viable, they scrap it and we know that we don't have any government refineries in place. I think that's what needs to be done.
Mr. Adebanjo, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, my thoughts is that sincerely speaking, let's forget about those refineries. Government should not have interest in it. Obasanjo regime privatized some industries in Nigeria. Let that place be privatized. Let it be given to private, operators for them to operate that refinery. But for government to keep spending money or keep investing on that refinery, I don't think I have it. That one can have my own package.
All right. Thank you so much for being there. I want to say a big thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wingade, the individual oil marketer. Thank you so much for joining us via Zoom. And your thought is very precious to us. Thank you so much. And also say thank you to Alhaji Fatai Olatunji. He also joined us via Zoom also. Secretary Oil and Gas Association. Alhaji, thank you so much for taking your time to join us on this program, New Dawn this morning. Also to the chartered accountant and economist in the studio, Mr. Tade Adebanjo. Thank you so much for being there.
It's my pleasure.
All right, thank you so much for watching the program. Senior, we have to go.
All right, it's a Monday edition of New Dawn. Tomorrow or Tumojo will be here, and on Wednesday you have the midweek edition, and Friday as well, or Tumojo on Thursday. Keep watching the People's Tele, and bye for now.